It's probably going to be like a burst effect. Alright, so I'm not entirely sure about the damage calculation of the game, but I can totally talk about something in particular, which is, let me see if I can make this bigger for the congregation. We don't care about the enemy, we're just concerned about these numbers, right? Alright, this is the enemy's starting defense and attack and speed. What happens in Dissida when Laguna lowers the enemy's defense by 50% is he's lowering the enemy's defense by 50% of this starting number. So as the fight goes on, sometimes they do that thing where it's like the enemy's getting furious, the enemy's heating up, you know, the enemy's whatever. And it'll tell you in the chat log, like, hey, you know, second Kanta, you can't see this because I'm in the way. Let me scroll down more. Second Kanta raises attack, defense, speed, max bravery. These are also increasing his defense by a set amount. But Laguna's initial, like all of the debuffs in the game, work off of this amount, the base value only. So, depending on the enemy you're attacking, when you lower an enemy's attack, defense, and speed, just by Laguna being in the party, the enemy's base attack at the beginning of the fight will only be 8,000 defense, 15 speed, and only a attack value of 8,500. But as the fight continues and they start getting this crap, these go up by a value that Laguna doesn't mess with. So if second Kata raises their defense by, or their attack by 5,000, it's just going to go up by 5,000, like a flat value. So if you manage to, between Laguna and Garland, get the enemy's defense down to 0 because you've subtracted 100%, if second Kata adds 5,000 defense no matter what, then their defense will be 5,000 when they go into that phase. Which is why some builds that do like max brave down, it's not good enough to do max brave down 100%. You need to go above 100%. So that when the enemy gets more max bravery over the course of the fight, you're still minimizing that stuff. So the difference in the defense is, I don't know anything about the damage calculation, but your own attack stat is what's competing with the defense stat to show how much brave damage you're doing. And then there's like a million other things on top of that. But the idea is, if you lower their defense by a significant amount so that your attack power is higher by, you know, whatever margin, that's when you start doing your really good damage and you keep them honest. Which is why we found out over the course of the past couple of months that Laguna is so good, because Laguna just shows up and just by existing, he cuts these three values in half. The attack, defense, and speed. Against some bosses that have brave damage reduction and stuff, though, it's not that effective, but sometimes it is, because sometimes bosses also have a ton of these where their base stats are trash, and then they get more powerful as the fight goes on. Characters that have trashy base stats are affected less by debuffers because all of their stuff is coming afterwards, and you don't mess with any of that because this is all increases based on these numbers also, and they don't interact with each other. So if second Kata raises their defense by 100%, it's raising it by 16,000 no matter what. So even if you take it down to 0 with Garland and Laguna, it's raising it by 16,000. But if you have like an additional 50% defense down, so you're lowering the enemy's defense down by 150%, then their defense will continue to be 0. And then when they get their 16,000, that 50% will kick in, so their defense will only be 8,000. And if that's not super confusing, then you win.